Hey, everybody. George Santos was kicked out of Congress. Well, mainly because he just got tired of him. All right. Now, what do I think about it? Yeah, I'm disappointed that we had an electorate that didn't fall for his antics from the start. He lied to people. He tried to fake being Jewish. They bought it. He tried to fake being this bon vivant. They bought it. He told a lot of lies. Okay. And I hope the man gets the help that he needs. They expelled him from Congress. Will he be able to get a job someplace? I think so. I hope so. He was a congressperson. All right. But what I'm drawn to of all these stories is something I just saw that happened to pop up in the Atlantic. Expelling George Santos was a mistake. That's what it says. I'll show you to you. You got to see this. You can't make these titles up. All right. It says it right here. The Atlantic. All right. It's a bunch of words. Yes. Let's get to the title right here. Expelling George Santos was a mistake. This is by Adam Serwer. Although I'm compelled to say, well, whatever. I don't want to make fun of the guy's name. That's classless. But then, look, a lot about George Santos was, well, not exactly high class to begin with, so maybe it's par for the course. But Mr. Serwer writes, and I quote here, George Santos, the former, get this, George Santos, the former Republican representative from New York, seemed like he stepped out of an episode of the HBO political comedy show Veep. His reality TV antics and ostentatious fabrications about his life and the criminal allegations swirling around him made him a surreal character in an already surreal Congress. Today, he becomes only the sixth member of the House to be expelled. This is in history, folks. Ever. Okay. Ever. Following a House Ethics Committee investigation and his indictment on federal charges of fraud and conspiracy for allegedly stealing donors' identities and using their credit card numbers to ring up tens of thousands of dollars in unauthorized charges. Now, that can get you put away for a long time. All right. And the Associated Press reported that. I didn't make that up. Of the 5 previously expelled representatives, 3 had taken up arms against the United States in the Civil War, and 2 had been convicted on federal charges. Santos has not been convicted of anything yet. The comedic absurdity, Mr. Sewell writes, of his actions, having lied about his distinguished Wall Street background, Jewish heritage, academic athletic achievements, annual rescue work, real estate holdings, and more, do not render him guilty. And that's true. And at this point, they have you go behind the paywall. And I am not doing that because, as you can see, there are plenty of other places to go to read the rest of the story. Okay. But it's interesting that the 2 paywall centered news organizations have the juicy dialogue and the juicy title that says basically, hey, he shouldn't have been punished. So you're like, I want to find out why, and I'll click on it. And they ask you to pay. Forget it. I ain't paying for jack. Not at all. All right? At all. The simple fact of the matter is that this guy was a boorish liar. A man for whom Mitt Romney had nothing at all good to say. Remember that? Remember how Mitt Romney went off about him? Wasn't that classic stuff? All right. Hey, look, Democrat or Republican, you gotta love Mitt Romney. If you're a dyed-in-the-wool political junkie, Mitt Romney is your fan. Okay. Period. End of story. And he just had, first of all, some tense exchanges. Like, for example, here's one. Remember this one? This was classic, folks. All right. This one was classic. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me get the commercial out of the way. Video will play after the ad, yada, yada, yada. And go away ad. Go away ad. Go away ad. That's not for me. Go on, go away ad. Now, okay. Here we go. All right. Listen to this.
The union address is getting a whole lot of attention, and it had nothing to do with President Biden. Long Island Congressman George Santos had an exchange that was caught on camera with Senator Mitt Romney after Santos had positioned himself in a place to see and be seen. Eyewitness News reporter Derek Waller has the story.
And not only is Santos not resigning, he decided to perch himself in a prime position last night for the president's State of the Union address, angering a senior member of his own party. Santos positioned just inches away from President Biden as he walked into the House chamber. Then cameras caught Santos in a testy back and forth with Mitt Romney, the Utah senator, telling reporters he told the freshman congressman, "You don't belong here." In this grainy cell phone video, Romney told reporters he was disappointed House Speaker McCarthy hasn't called out Santos for lying.
Says he, that he embellished his record. Look, embellishing is saying you got an A when you get an A minus. Lying is saying you graduated from a college you didn't even attend. I didn't expect that he'd be standing there trying to shake hands with every senator and the president of the United States. Guys, given the fact that he's under ethics investigation, he should be sitting in the back row and staying quiet instead of parading in front of the president and people coming into the room.
Santos firing back on Twitter. "Hey, Mitt Romney, just a reminder that you will never be president." Earlier in the day, a handful of Santos constituents from Queens and Long Island took a bus to D.C., hand-delivering signatures demanding House leadership call for a vote to expel Santos. The congressman claiming he would meet with them.
At what point does this become a distraction?
Of course.
And why would I not talk to them?
But that's not what happened.
Where are you, George? We all sent emails. Nobody got a response, and he's not here to meet with us. That's unacceptable.
Does he have an office or does he have a hideout? What is going on here? We want to be represented. Is that it?
Does he have an office or a hideout? You got to love that.
Asking so much.
And back here at his district office.
I mean, you get the idea, folks. This stuff is classic. All right. I mean, this is totally classic. This guy, he thought he could get away with this stuff. I mean, what is going on in his, well, maybe that's it. Woohoo! Maybe he's just psychotic. All right. Whatever the case, now the situation is that the seat that he had has to be filled. And the question is, how is that going to be done? Well, according to Fox News, New York Governor Kathy Hochul is clarifying the claim of finally filling the seat, and she pledges a special election. And what it goes like this, the story. New York Governor Kathy Hochul is sparking confusion online as some users on Twitter, X, believe a comment she made on social media indicated that she intends to fill the seat of expelled Representative George Santos herself and not hold a special election to fill the vacancy. Kind of makes it sound like when Rod Blagojevich was governor of Illinois and he was going to fill the seat formerly held by Senator Barack Obama before he became president. And instead of holding a special election, he held it out like, well, something he'd give away for, illegal, gifts, right? Okay, you get the idea. And now you understand why Boygoyo, as some would call him, or Rob, as others would call him, got hauled off to the Hooskow for a little bit. At any rate, Governor Hochul, in her infinite wisdom, did not take that route. Yay. Anyway, she says when she posts the reaction to his expulsion, Santos now, she did not refer to an election, which some users, or led some users to infer that the governor would try to, pick the replacement for Santos herself. Quote, she says, "I am prepared to undertake the solemn responsibility of filling the vacancy in New York's 3rd district. The people of Long Island deserve nothing less," Hochul wrote on Twitter, with no mention of a special election. All right. And so that post she wrote gained 800,000 views. Whew, I'll take a fraction of that. And so Santos was booted from Congress, Friday morning, following that damning House Ethics Committee investigation that found he had used campaign funds for personal purposes and engaged in fraudulent conduct. Ooh. His expulsion means his seat in New York's 3rd District is now vacant, and under Article 1, Section 2, Clause 4 of the Constitution, the executive of the state must hold an election to fill the seat. Hochul has 10 days to schedule a special election, and it must take place 70 to 80 days later. And she put out on a tweet, quote, "I am prepared to undertake the solemn responsibility of filling the vacancy." And she's, you know that, okay? And so why is this all important? What's the something to be learned from all of this? Is very simple. Don't disrespect the institution of government. Don't think you can lie and cheat and steal your way to get into office, because the message here is, even if you successfully lie and cheat and steal to get into the office, once there, you'll be found out and removed. So why go through that? And not only that, the being found out and being removed is only the start of George Santos' problems. Okay. The institution remains intact. And God bless Mitt Romney for being the first to call him out in the middle of a proceeding in our great bicameral system, with a great senator of Utah had no problem basically saying, "Hey, you know what? Get out of here. You don't belong here." And he was right. He wasn't kicking him out of a club, although it is a kind of a club. He was saying to him, "You do not properly represent your people. You lied to get there." And you heard him say it on the video. He said, beautiful comment, Senator Romney. To embellish is to say that you got an A+ when you got an A. But to lie is to say that you bought a house, but in point of fact, you don't own anything. I'm now changing his words, but it's the same idea. George Santos, good riddance. Good riddance. Maybe we'll find him on the comedy circuit someplace. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark ZennyReport.com.